Happy Sunday, everyone, and welcome to Unity of Kern County on this 8th day of August 2021. I'm Reverend Chuck, and today we're going to look at what patience is as a virtue and what it means for us as it benefits our sense of well-being as we look at Jesus' lessons about not being anxious and how that is tied to patience being a virtue for ourselves and how it can add years to our lives. Now, the materials I share with you, of course, each Sunday are based upon spiritual principles and lessons as taught by Jesus and Unity of Worldwide Ministries, as well as my 28 years as an ordained Unity minister. Well, as we do each Sunday, of course, we open with the Charles Fillmore prayer in the presence, honoring that presence of God that lives within us, around us, and through us. And so we pray. I'm now in the presence of pure being and immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. I acknowledge your presence and power, O blessed Spirit. In your divine wisdom, now erase my mortal limitations, and from your pure substance of love, bring into manifestation my world according to your perfect law. And so it is. Well, friends, if you really want to know the mindset of Jesus, all you have to do is study the Beatitudes. And this discourse that he gave to the people, he's very famous for, and within them lies the very things that one must do to achieve true salvation from the negativity of the human condition, which we know is wrapped up in sinful behaviors, and of course the sin meaning self-inflicted nonsense that we put upon ourselves, and we want to be able to break free from that. Okay, and that was where our true salvation comes. Now, the beauty of the Beatitudes is that it gives us the doctrine of original blessing. Throughout the Beatitudes, it's all about an attitude of mind and how to reconnect with God. And that is where your salvation comes in. And that is where the original blessing can be found. Jesus taught that. The doctrine of original sin, well, that Jesus never taught about that. That came many, 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 many years later, okay, through the works of St. Augustine and the early church. And that's another lesson too that we can look at a later date. But the Beatitudes are filled with lessons that explain the attitudes of mind, okay? And when they are applied, okay, to our lives and to our affairs, of course, we reap abundant blessings of every good kind. And one of those blessings we can develop for ourselves, of course, is the virtue of patience. Be not anxious, Jesus told the people, for it is your Father's good pleasure, God in heaven's good pleasure, to provide you all that you will ever need, all that you will ever want, so that you can have a fulfilled life, an abundant life. Jesus knew that humankind was influenced greatly by the human condition, and that that negativity kept them from realizing God's original blessing of love. And within that original blessing, okay, is peace and order, harmony, and of course abundance of all kind. Now those things can only come when there is peace of mind and the patience to accept God's good no matter what the appearances tell us otherwise. So, what makes patience a virtue? Well, here are some insights we can consider today. 1. Patience is a state of mind that beholds the world from the harmony of the Christ in us, our hope of glory. And within that confine, it is the freedom from negative thinking that can lead to stress and disorder and anger. Whenever we have that negativity boil up within us, those are the things that our bodies are consumed with: stress, disorder, anger. But when we allow the Christ in us to remind us not to be anxious, we activate an attitude of mind that mirrors the Christ in us as poise, calmness, peace, trust. For this is the foundation that Jesus gave us, and that's a foundation that we can build upon, because out of that foundation comes love, love for self. 2, patience is something you cannot buy. It cannot be inherited, and it can't be given to you in any way. Patience is that attitude of mind, a be attitude of mind, that you alone must develop and nourish until it becomes established, automatic, effortless, in response to any problems you may face, any situations that come your way, any circumstances that you find yourself in that may cause you to react in a negative way. How upset do parents get sometimes when they want their children to do one thing and they do something else, and we've all been through that. Well, that's just a small smidgen of being impatient with our children and certain situations with family members. But see, if we don't learn to work on our patience in those areas of our lives, then what happens when we're out in the world and we're dealing with other people? Point number 3, religions and philosophers have long praised the virtue of patience. And Jesus expressed that attitude of mind during his entire ministry. It mattered not who confronted him, he stayed poised, he stayed calm, and he was able to do the work that was his to do. And of course, modern day times and our time frame, we're constantly studying the mind and the emotional and the good things that happen, and of course the bad things that happen to us through our emotions. Now, studies have been done on individuals who have waited patiently, for a reward, and those that are able to do it receive that reward and then more. We've all heard the adage that states, he's got the patience of Job. And of course, we know the story of Job from the Old Testament, when it's told that God's testing him, all right, and he takes everything away. Okay. But Job waits and waits and waits and waits, and sure enough, having proven his faith in God to provide for him again, God gives him more than he ever had before. In fact, tenfold more than what he ever had. Now, we all need to practice applying patience in our lives. Yes, it can be difficult, but we have to start somewhere. And of course, we start with our own families. We start with ourselves. How many times have we gotten upset with ourselves, impatient with ourselves, because we wanted something to happen or we were expecting something to happen and it didn't? It can be frustrating. We can be upset. We can be frazzled, and we can even get angry when things don't go the way we plan, or something or someone interferes with our plans. Now, whether one is patient or not, of course, ultimately depends upon the view of how they see life and their relationship with others that they share the world with. What we don't want to happen is to allow the negative emotions to turn into something that can be very, very damaging. A case in point, we've all heard or maybe even experienced someone that had road rage. Now, this individual is a person who is self-centered and allows anger to control their every thought and their every move. Their attitude of mind is bound by their own self-interest and self-importance, as they need to control their view of the world. And if you get anywhere in there and interrupt it, then they're going to take it out on you. They are not very patient. There is a lack of love of self, as well as lack of love for those around them. And because of that, their impatience constantly creates more anger and frustration. Besides these raging emotions, other major effects are being manifested in the individual. And so they show up as poor judgment or maybe irrational decisions, restlessness, unable to sleep, unable to have peace of mind, a harsh attitude towards others, and of course, constantly unnecessary stress that builds up and builds up and builds up. It's important that we choose to be patient, even though a lot of negativity seems to be in our lives. And it does creep in, let's face it. A day doesn't go by where we probably don't find ourselves being impatient about something or someone. Though it's not easy to keep calm amidst your adversaries, we must take a higher ground in order to stay clear from any damaging results that our impatience may cause us. Now, writing for Tracking Happiness, author Medell gives 5 benefits for practicing and applying patience in our lives. It's important that we understand the need for patience, as it will add years to our lives by reducing all the negativity, all the negative emotions, all that stress that builds up within one's body when they do not practice patience. She writes, aside from scientifically proven benefits of our mental health, there are also a whole lot more powerful benefits to being patient. And here are some that she has found in her studies. Number 1, you are able to make thoughtful decisions because you're not stressed out. Contrary to making rushed and irrational decisions, you can carefully assess your situation and make more sensible judgment when you're being patient. From getting into a relationship with someone or deciding on a job or a new opportunity. So it's important that we learn to do that. 2, cultivating enduring relationships. Patience is also associated with how we treat people around us, she writes. Most of the time, people closest to us can drive us inexplicably mad. Perhaps your partner has done something that triggered your annoyance. Instead of lashing out, patience teaches us to breathe for a moment and look at the matter from a wider perspective. This way, we also become empathetic and compassionate towards other people and avoid strain in our relationships, which adds more stress. So, if you're looking to reduce stress, look at how you're dealing with life's issues, from the smallest to the largest. And are you able to institute that patience? 3, you think long term. Instead, when we're patient, we're able to look far ahead, she writes, into the future instead of being stuck in the short term vision. As they say, good things in life take time. Patience lets us appreciate the journey that it takes to make it to our bigger goals. This I see sometimes with individuals when they start to plan something out. They plan point A to point B, and they don't want anything to interfere from that path from point A to point B. And when you do that, you lose out on what the journey has for you, the lessons that are there. So that leads us to number 4. You find inner peace. The worst thing about being impatient is that, of course, it brings stress. We're always short-tempered, antsy, demanding, and it seems as though the world will end if we don't get our way right here, right now. But when we choose patience, we also choose peace. We let go of things that don't serve us. We trust our own pace, making sure that we will get where we need to get in the proper timing. And we let the universe run its course. Patience also teaches us to pause and to surrender. And 5, you learn to be kind. When you're patient, we'll always act from a place of kindness. When the world around us seems to be uncaring and relentless, patience reminds us to be gentle and lenient. We get more out of life by forgiving towards those who would drive us crazy or test our limits. So it is something that we all need to do. It's not easy, but it's not hard neither. It just takes practice. And so I'm going to give you something to work with, as they say. Okay? So until next week, I leave you with this take on patience. And it's an acronym, okay, based on patience. The P stands for peaceful, the A for attention, the T for to, the I for instant, the E for encouragement, the N for nurturing, and the C for Christ, and the E for essence. You put it all together. What this does, it allows you to have a mindset that allows one to have peaceful attention to instant encouragement, nurturing Christ's essence in every situation. So try it out. See how it works for you this week. And of course, at any time you have a question about the material, please feel free to contact me via my Facebook Messenger or email me at revchuckunity@yahoo.com. And I want to thank all of you who follow me and subscribe to my channel on YouTube as well as Facebook, and for the financial support that keeps Unity of Kern County active so I can bring these messages to you. And for those that have asked for a physical address, it is 903 Mona, and that's Monna Avenue, Bakersfield, California, 93308. And so until next week, remember, dear friends, be good to yourself and others. God bless you.